Hey everyone, today is December the 8th, 2023. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community Meetings. On the agenda today, QJ is going to talk a little bit about ManifestWorkReplicaSet with the ability to override some of the value inside the manifest definition. I think he's also going to demonstrate a prototype as well. So QJ, please feel free whenever to take it away. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Let me share my screen. Uh, yeah, so the background is there was some discussions in the Slack channel about how can we customize the values when we using the manifest replica set or deploy the workload to multiple clusters. But in the original manifest replica set, we haven't implemented this kind of the features on how to like override the values based on like for different clusters you may want to set different values for the manifests or for the different placement. So this is a trial that I did to implement these features. I want to show some examples and see whether it really satisfies the requirement for the real use cases. So let's see an example. Yeah. So this is an example about ManifestWorkReplicaSet. Originally, it has ManifestWork template, and in the ManifestWork template, it contains the manifests. In this example, it's a deployment with BusyBox image, and also in the ManifestWorkReplicaSet, we also can specify a set of the placement to tell the controller that this manifest should be put to which clusters. The placements can be a list, so you can put multiple placement in the placement refs here. And certainly we introduce also the rollout strategies here also. But what I want to show here is that I'm thinking about another field in the placement graph, which is called override. So in general, it means that we can override the manifest work based on the placement. So for example, if you have a placement point to, let's say, AWS clusters, we can do some override on all the manifest work deployed to the AWS clusters, and if it's another kind of the clusters, we can do the similar things. So currently, I just implement a type of the override type, which is called JSON merge. So within the merge, we basically need to put a partial YAML, like it's similar as the YAMLs that we put in the manifest work template. There is some required value, including the API version kind and also metadata. For example, the name and namespace should be specified. And then for the spec part or the other part in the YAML, it could be partial, like we don't need to put a whole YAML in the merge patches. Here the merges is a list, and it is actually a merge patch. So for example, in this case, it means that we want to patch the manifest work with the deployment in the manifest work with replica equals to um, when the placement is the name in the clusters, including in the placement name with placement. But in another condition, when the cluster is included in the placement one, we will patch the deployment to another replica with replica 3. So this is a basic idea that certainly you can put other resources because this is a list. So if we have multiple resources in the manifest work template, you can select to patch each resources or just a subset of the resources in the manifest replica in the manifest work template. I have deployed this in my test environment where I have two clusters, one cluster 1 and cluster 2, and I have two with different labels. One is purpose test and another is purpose prod, and I have two placement. So each placement is select one single clusters. That is placement. The first placement has a label selector that point to the prod, and another one is point to the test. So that means that even it's the same, the template of the manifest work is the same, but each manifest work will be patched before it is created, and then and after that the workload in the different cluster will be a bit different. So let us see and also in the decision part, you can see that one select the cluster 1, another one select the cluster 2. So let's see the manifest work. So as you can see that because this is a manifest work set, replica set, it is deployed to two clusters. And the replica will be a bit different for the cluster 1. It is the replica is 2, but for the cluster 2, the replica is 3. So so that is the main idea. But this is really all the demos, and I think we probably should discuss about whether it's satisfy the requirement of the overriding use cases. Certainly, we can enhances to adding more types, like we can use a JSON patch, so we can have a patch way add some field or remove some field, but it is possible to add other field. And another question is, this is purely based on placement, so the patch or override is based on placement, like you need to define the placement, and all the clusters in this placement will be patched the same thing. It is not per cluster. Yeah, I think that's all for the demo and my prototype for the overriding feature. Any questions and or comments?
Thank you, Kujang. That was great. I think yeah, this ask has been brought up in the community several times. And I think what you demonstrated definitely satisfied one of the asks. But it's but like you said at the very end, um the override is overriding on the whole bunch of clusters as selected by placement. I
Yeah.
think one of the community user use case was, okay, I got a bunch of managed clusters, and then I got some labels and claims inside those managed clusters. I think he or she just really wanted to, use some variables like the templating variable to quickly replace the manifest template with the managed cluster claims. So is that something that can be done as well, or that is a completely different templating engine override thing?
Um, so I think the label and claim is a bit different because a claim is in the managed cluster. Such templating, it seems to me that such kind of template should, if we want to do that, it doesn't need to be in the manifest work replica set API, probably in the manifest work API. Like you can, um, I think yeah, it might like we did in the add-on template that in the manifest work you have some variables or predefined variables, um, including the labels and claims that you can reference in the manifests content here. But I don't know. I think that sounds worth a try, but I'm not sure because I'm not sure whether it's a good idea. I because in the very beginning when we designed the manifest work, we basically want this API is it's not that complicated. It's just about it's not related to a template. It's just you define what you want and we deploy.
Got it. I understand. Because if you have templating, it might dynamically eval, and then it will keep
Yeah.
it might have some scalability issue if the value keep switching, I guess. I
Yeah.
understand. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your answers. I think what you said makes sense. And maybe it doesn't shouldn't be in the this API, but maybe in another API. Thank you. I also had a sort of an enhancement request or just an issue that I opened a while ago.
Mhm.
It was about placement decision. Right now, placement decision only shows the cluster names. And I think
Yeah.
in the issue, I think one of the community member brought it up because Argo CD is consuming only the placement decision, and we were wondering if the placement decision can have a little bit more data inside the instead of just cluster name, but also have the cluster claims and maybe the labels in the decision as well. Would like if we have those informations in the placement decision, would that help doing the template here in your placement reference override, now you have those data in the placement decision. Can
Mm.
you somehow pull it when you do some type of merge, pull it over here into the manifest work when you evaluate the manifest work?
Probably. I haven't thought about that. I think. Hmm.
I guess is it a good idea first of all to have the placement decision showing all those data as probably optional. I mean, not a requirement.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we thought about that. I think when we build a decision strategy field, in addition to allowing that user is able to group the decisions to different decision groups, we also intend to add an optional field in so user can also like include other um metadata like labels and claims into the decisions. That's that is I think that makes sense. I'm not. I'm just thinking like, if we have the placement, if we have those infos in the placement decisions, how do we uh, use it in the manifest or replica set? It seems possible. Um,
Is the suggestion, Mike, that we include like all the labels and all the claim data, or the one specifically that we filtered the placement on, which, unless there's a greater than or less than, is likely the same value across them all?
Uh, I was just thinking because QJ mentioned that he doesn't really think those template variables getting those claims and label makes sense in manifest work. So I was thinking, okay, how can I um, make manifest work replica set to evaluate those claims and labels? And then since manifest work replica set is already evaluating the decisions, but like it has to evaluate the decision because it needs to know which managed clusters to create the manifest worker. So I was thinking, hey, during the that evaluation, if the data is there as well, can it also do the templating that I that some of the community is asking for? So in the manifest work template, it'll have those, those curly brackets, and then we have some type of syntax, and then it can evaluate. So that's what I was thinking. I wasn't really thinking uh, on the number of claims or number of labels that should be included as well. But that's a good point, Josh. I mean, if all the if the decision contains all the claims and all the labels, then that'll grow pretty big very quickly. Yeah.
But I mean, I no, but I'm on board with you. Like, I what you're after. Like, it makes sense to be able to maybe figure out how to pick that up. It's how do we make it's yeah, do we show them all so it makes it easy for a user to figure out what to template, versus you have to understand and know like ahead of time that there is a there's a claim of some type, or that there's a label that exists by having gone and looked, and you won't know if it's across all of them. But I yeah, I no, I see what you're after, and I could see why they'd want to be able to have it pick up the value that's from that in the curly braces that may be a little different for each one, since the manifest replica set controller is stamping out the workflow anyways. There's that opportunity to be able to try and do that for sure. Okay. Oh, that's all I was wondering.
Oh yeah, Mike. Also maybe I need to read the original issues also. So would you remind me about why the Argo in the Argo use case we want to include the labels in the decision and label and claim in the decision?
Oh, it was sort of okay in the Argo CD application set. How it consumes the placement decision is through the duck type, so it's not using the placement. It's not consuming the placement decision API directly. So in order for it to consume more data, it needs to have it in the placement decision output, because I think when I first suggested this, you mentioned, hey, why not just get the managed cluster? You just get the managed cluster, and then all the data is there, right? But in the Argo CD case, we can't get the managed cluster because we're not consuming that API, and the duck typing is only for placement decision. So that's why I created that issue of enhancing the placement decision output. And the other use case is just for easy for a user to use, right? I mean, it's nice to, when you get a placement decision and you dash OYAML on it, it's nice to see the some of the output, that's some of the claims, some of the label associated with that managed cluster instead of just a cluster name. Josh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in the pull model piece that you guys built with the Argo integration, we definitely can do what Chichen was mentioning and be able to just read, because we read and we use the manifest work to write it, and so we could definitely do the templating on that side. But I totally see for the push one that having the data in there would be useful then to be able to leverage in the Argo push model templating. And as you said, that's the only way, having been a part of that original one, like that, yeah, that is the only interaction point, is the placement decision. And so I was just thinking about sizes because we were talking about writing all the data, but like I think we limit placement decision to 100 item entries anyways. So like even if we dumped all the labels and the claims, I think we would still have lots of space in the status if we wanted to. But we'd need to find a use case, I think, beyond, or we'd want to find a use case beyond just Argo to introduce it, like how we would maybe integrate that with manifest work templating as well, as you were suggesting to Trojan, if we did it for the Argo case, or if we were going to go forward with it, the Argo case, because we don't want to just one-off it either. It'd be good to see if we could take advantage of it in multiple spots.
Got it. Yeah, another question, sorry, for the Argo CD pull model. Pull model. So, Mike, I think we currently in the pull model we use directly use the manifest work, but it seems to me that it is possible that we could use manifest work replica set in the future with pull model.
Yes, absolutely. We absolutely can, and we should. I think we use manifest work in the beginning because we didn't have the replica set API ready. But yeah, you're right. I think it actually makes it a lot easier as well.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the rollout strategy. I was thinking like if we in the pull model of Argo CD we use manifest work replica set, maybe for the rolling out part, we could have we could also like adjust directly like user to edit the related manifest or replica sets rollout strategy. So in that way, even with Argo CD pool model, we can also achieve the rolling out features.
Yes, I completely agree. But it's but that I'm just thinking out loud. But Argo CD to roll out is a little bit different because in the manifest work replica set rollout, you have the definition defined in the you have the manifest definition defined inside the manifest work replica set, right? But in the Argo CD case, the pool model, we define the application, and the application is mostly just a pointer to the repo. So it's the repo
Oh,
itself
I see.
that
I see.
has the manifest truth. So it's
I
so
see.
yes, in a way, if we do something tricky like set up another repo or another branch to do, Josh will probably know more than me to do some to take advantage of this type of rollout strategy. But it wouldn't be just simply use manifest work
I see.
replica set. Yeah. But it helps. It definitely helps. But we need to figure out some clever way around that.
Yeah. Okay.
So Josh mentioned in chat that using replica sets will give you access to templating for the Argo. You're right. Yep. And then we use yep.
Yeah, it was just an add-on that if we did the switch like Chojen suggested, it give us that at least against the application object part for free, which is kind of nice too.
But then we'll need to ask the user. Maybe it's a good practice, anyways, to set up some branches, or
Well, yeah, I mean, if we want to do that, if we want to do the whole rollout thing, you'd have to do like a B branch, and then in theory we could do something with it at that point
okay.
with rollout. I was talking more just like what Chojen was suggesting. If we just switched over from creating workflow or manifest work like we do today to replica sets, it would mean we'd have some form of templating if this gets implemented for those application objects that we're rolling out in the pull model already as well.
Oh, right. You're right.
Sitting behind the
You,
app set.
you're right. Yeah. There's. I remember there's some requirement asked about that as well. If we can do some override based on some selection. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Cool.
Q Chang, once again. Are there any other questions, comments for Q Chang? Any other comments or question for the community? Okay. Thank you everyone for joining today. Have a nice day. Have a nice night. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.